Hi, I'm Kathleen Barnes from Take Charge Books, and with me is Doug Bennett, who is the author of Life and Spirit in the Quantum Field. This is the fifth part of our little instructional series and giving you some information about what's in the book, and I think there's so much rich content here. I think the next thing that's obvious to talk about in terms of the quantum field is God. And I know that you differentiate between God with a capital G and God with a small g, and I guess the obvious question for me is the quantum field God?
And the answer that I arrived at in the book is yes. Short answer. The quantum field is, I believe, the lowercase God. It is the phenomena that underlies all of the specific instances of uppercase G gods.
Explain to me how you differentiate between the uppercase God and the lowercase God.
Uppercase God in the dictionary is somebody's specific image of God. So there's a Christian God, and in fact many flavors of Christian God. You know, the Baptists have one view, the Unitarians have quite another. But the Hindus have another sort of model, the Muslims have another. All of these are specific instances of a God, and each one has specific attributes and characteristics. And it is the God of a specific religion. So that's a uppercase God. The fact that everyone has an image of God, and it appears that they always have, tells me anyway, that there is something underlying this. There is some universal truth that is probably not like any of the detailed images, but there is something underneath. And that's what I mean by lowercase g, this kind of generic, a generic God. I'd like to say the underlying reality, actually, but that's just my belief.
And so this lowercase God is the quantum field, or the quantum field is God, one of the two?
Both. And I reached that conclusion starting kind of from the bottom. I said that our thoughts and feelings are in the field, that we think in the field, therefore the field thinks. The field, our thoughts in the field are distributed across time and space, so they outlive our material bodies, so the field is capable of thinking without a body. Well, so if the field is capable of thinking without a body, maybe the field can be thinking without ever having had a body. And so if the field is thinking, then what if the whole field is thinking? And the thing that's thinking, I really shouldn't use the term thinking. I fall into that habit all the time. I catch myself several times in the book doing that. Thinking implies sort of this logical, rational stuff that we do, and I don't think that's what we're talking about. What we're talking about, I think, is closer to feelings and emotions. So the field feels. And the medium of that feeling is the waves of the quantum field. The very same waves that are the outcome that determine the outcome or determine the probability curves for photons and electrons, human thought, feelings, and all that kind of good stuff. So the field is thought and feeling, the field is influence, the field is information. And there you have, I believe, a sufficient definition for the generic God, the lowercase g.
Wow, that's kind of mind-boggling.
I thought so. It was pretty amazing. I happen to like the idea. It leaves us with an intelligent, influential God that is subtle. The quantum field can only influence quantum level events. It can only move the probability curve. It cannot, like Zeus, strike the offending person down with a lightning bolt. And this is what we see, I think. We don't see lightning bolts very often. We see subtle influences that people are aware of and have always been aware of, but it remains subtle. It is also, having said what it is, which is a heresy for lots of people, I have still not taken away the ineffability of God, because to be anything like what we call God, the scale has to be huge. Ultimately, the whole universe. So that's a lot more than we as mere humans can perceive, even if our means of perception is the very same as the stuff that God thinks with.
I think it's interesting, too, how you're very kind of neatly bringing together modern science, which, and the field of quantum physics is fairly recent in the last 100 years, maybe even a little bit less, and the science, if you will, of spirituality and even of organized religion, and how those two have kind of butted heads for traditionally, and now maybe they're finding that they have a lot more common ground than they thought they did.
That was observed very early in the quantum work. The founders of quantum mechanics talked about that. In the 70s, the Tao of physics came out, the dancing Wooly masters, all of these observing the large similarities between what quantum physicists say and what Taoists say, for example. And I think what I've done in the book is go a little further and say it's not just similar words that we're talking about here. It is material reality. The quantum field that physics stumbled on 100 years ago leads us to this infinite, ineffable source of knowledge and influence that some people call God.
And in the spiritual realm, we've always known that it was real. Now the scientific realm has to kind of get on board this train and realize that, yes, indeed, it is real.
But I'm encouraged that the model that emerges does not support specifically any of the capital G gods. None of my thinking, and I doubt that there will ever be an equation whose solution is thou shalt not, whatever. Instead, what it supports is the mystic view, the Taoist view, if you like. God is the ground of all being, quite literally. It is intelligent. You can communicate with it. You can be aware of it. It is a medium of influence, but it is not a being that demands certain rituals on Sunday nights, for example. All of that stuff is an artifact of this particular cultures that grew the particular religions.
Fascinating. Thank you, Doug.
Welcome.
With me has been Doug Bennett, author of Life and Spirit in the Quantum Field. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.